watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for the news at noon. I'm Mark Hall. Meteorologist Damon Madsen joined us with the latest check on the forecast. Damon, I took a peek outside. Partly cloudy. How's the rest of the day look?
You were so excited you saw the sun, and then when it went away, you were like, where'd it go?
Where'd it go?
Yeah, we do have a few clouds, unfortunately, but nothing like what we were dealing with over the last few days, when it was rather overcast and we had plenty of rainfall. Things have finally cleared out, folks. How about it? Let's take a look at that satellite picture. Oh yes, there are just a few passing clouds here and there, but for the most part, we are seeing that sunshine, especially as you go across northern portions of the DMV. Back up toward the Pennsylvania line, you'll find mostly sunny skies. Down to the south, still mixing in a few clouds, including over the DC metro. So that's an improvement. Now, unfortunately, what we are dealing with in order to get this sunshine, some gustier winds. Steady wind speeds right now are on the order of about 15 to 25 miles per hour, and that's the steady wind. When you factor in the gusts that we are experiencing at times, we're noticing stronger gusts pushing toward 40 miles per hour. Now, that is not quite enough for a wind advisory across the eastern half of the DMV here, but we do have a wind advisory in effect until 8 p.m. where gusts could approach 50 miles per hour along some of the higher terrain near the Blue Ridge Mountains and back into the Shenandoah Valley as well. So we are going to be dealing with these blustery winds the rest of the day, but we'll still have plenty of sunshine and temperatures that will be on the rise back up into the lower 60s by 3 to 4 o'clock. So all in all, it's just the wind we're trying to get rid of. Will things calm down as we head into the start of the weekend? We'll have a full look at your forecast coming up here in just a bit.
All right, Damon, thank you. Well, developing this afternoon, a popular D.C. rapper killed in an armed robbery in Northwest. Now police are searching for 2 suspects caught on surveillance video. DC News Now's Liberty Zabala is in Northwest with how the community is reacting.
Well, there has been a major outpouring of just mourning and outrage on social media over this killing of this local rapper known as Phil the Future. Many people calling this just another senseless act of violence.
Take a good look at your screen. Do you recognize these 2 suspects? Metropolitan Police say the 2 entered the Hotbox Uptown Dispensary on Georgia Avenue Northwest Wednesday afternoon. The suspects demanded property and money. They say the victims complied, but officers say during the robbery, one of the suspects fired a shot hitting one of the victims.
That victim identified as 41-year-old Philip Prendergast of Silver Spring, Maryland,
also known as local rapper Phil the Future. Police say he was rushed to the hospital where he later died, and the suspects took the property and money, then fled the scene.
One of the dispensary owners called the incident tragic. He said Prendergast was more than an employee, he was family. We spoke to one woman who wouldn't go on camera, but says she's worried about the violence.
It's terrible, it's awful. I'm always concerned about violence in this area, or just violence in general as a mother.
And now the Metropolitan Police Department here is offering a $25,000 reward for any information that can lead to an arrest. For now, in Northwest D.C., Liberty Zabala, D.C. News Now.
All right, Liberty, thank you. Developing now, D.C. police confirming a 12-year-old girl is now in the hospital after being shot in the leg. This happened near the intersection of 5th and Peabody Streets in Northwest. The shooting took place around 3:30 this morning. Investigators are still looking for the suspect. They believe the suspect is armed. We'll provide you updates on air and online as we learn more. Cranes working overnight to clear debris from the I-695 bridge collapse. Crews still working to figure out how they can cut the bridge into small pieces so the cranes can lift them safely. The U.S. Department of Transportation sent Maryland $60 million in emergency relief funding. Senator Chris Van Hollen saying the Army Corps of Engineers will cover the full cost of clearing the channel. Well, Governor Moore instructing his team to focus on 4 main objectives, and they are to continue recovery, clear the channel and open the port, take care of the families, workers, and businesses and first responders affected by the collapse, and finally to rebuild the Francis Scott Key Bridge.
Our number 1 priority, which is to reopen the Port of Baltimore. We're going to do that in some steps.
According to the Coast Guard, dive operations and vehicle recoveries are currently on hold. They say the wreckage is causing hazardous conditions in the water. And this comes as the NTSB continues to investigate the cargo ship involved in the crash. The agency says that 56 containers of hazardous material were on board and some hazmat containers were breached, and they're working on the water to contain the leaks. And the Baltimore mayor's office opening an emergency response fund. The fund raises money to support the victims of the tragedy and their families. They hope that this will ease the burden on people impacted by the bridge collapse. A GoFundMe claiming to support victims of the collapse is also nearing $100,000 raised. They set their original goal at $18,000. And officials are scrambling to redirect shipments heading to the Port of Baltimore in efforts to minimize harm on the economy. The port is a multi-billion-dollar hub for imports of cars, construction equipment, and coal. One expert suggested it could take between 3 and 6 weeks to make the channel passable again. Port workers say that isn't fast enough.
My best intelligence is that it'll take between 3 and 6 weeks to make the channel passable.
I need help now. My people need help now.
I've said it before, I will say it again, and I will keep on saying it. This is not just about Maryland. This is about the nation's economy.
Both the Department of Transportation and the state of Maryland are considering sending resources to workers who lose wages. Well, Governor Glenn Youngkin vetoed legislation to legalize and establish a recreational cannabis market, saying that it would endanger Virginians. In 2021, Virginia legalized cannabis, allowing people 21 and older to buy it at dispensaries through the state's medical program. Well, following this veto, they will not be able to buy it for recreational use. The bill will have allowed legal retail cannabis sale to start in May of 2025 and applications for dispensaries in September. In the statement, Governor Youngkin said in part that the states following this path have seen adverse effects on children's and adolescents' health and safety, increased gang activity, and violent crime. A group that pushes for legalizing and helping those impacted by prohibition says having an unregulated black market creates a more dangerous environment in Virginia.
Not a total surprise, but that does not make our disappointment any less. The list that he gave is a long list of misinformation, to be very honest, and that there is a lot of research that shows that regulated and tested marijuana will create a safer environment for all people, including our youth.
Well, without two-thirds majority in Virginia's assembly, Democrats cannot override the governor's veto. The group says that they're not giving up and will back it in 2026 when the state has a new governor. Governor Youngkin will not be eligible since Virginia's governor cannot serve 2 terms in a row. And Governor Youngkin also vetoed a bill raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2026. He said that it would hurt small businesses and farmers. Democrats in the General Assembly say the increase will help people pay for housing, food, and health care. The state's current minimum wage is $12 an hour. A state report released last year found that a single adult living in the Commonwealth needs to make about $19 an hour to afford basic needs. Abortion clinics in Maryland could soon get state funds to create security infrastructure at abortion clinics in the state. As Stephen Cohen reports, the idea comes just as neighboring West Virginia has imposed a ban on the procedure.
The bill would collect $1 from every Maryland-insured policyholder to fund security measures at abortion clinics in the state.
The funds are part of an Affordable Care Act surplus in the state treasury, but would pay for security cameras, staffing, and lighting at reproductive rights facilities to prevent harassment, assaults, stalking, and bomb threats.
People have the right to go into our clinic, and that's why we're here, to give them a safe entrance into the clinic. To make the choice that they want to make.
Critics of the plan have testified against the funding at the State House in Annapolis.
It is totally unnecessary. We are just here to pray for the young women that are coming in here to have abortions, that maybe they have a change of mind.
But the plan comes at a time when the state is expected to have an influx of women seeking the procedure in Western Maryland.
And the people from West Virginia, who, after it was banned in West Virginia, after abortion was banned, opened this clinic in Cumberland, Maryland.
In November, Maryland voters will decide if a right to an abortion should be enshrined in the state constitution.
The General Assembly has until next month to send a bill to the governor. Reporting from Hagerstown, Stephen Cohen, DC News Now.
All right, thanks to Stephen. Well, baseball season is in full swing. The Washington Nationals starting their season on the road, taking on the Cincinnati Reds, and they lost yesterday's game by a final score of 8-2. The Nationals will be without third baseman Manik Senzel for some time. He fractured his right thumb prior to the start of the game. Manager Dave Martinez gave his team credit for their fight and said the bullpen had a strong performance. And we'll be live at Nationals Park on Monday covering opening day in the district, and we're going to break down everything you can expect at the ballpark this season, including ticket deals and new foods. Be sure to tune in Monday before the Nats take on the Pirates. That would be the Pittsburgh Pirates, Damon, and that is at 4 o'clock.